I know you mentioned that the people kind of in your life didn't really know what to do or how to help you, or I mean, it's a situation that hopefully most people haven't found themselves in. So there isn't necessarily a playbook or a set of like cultural norms. Like if a parent passes away, there's like, okay, we make sure they have food, we do this. Like there's almost like a checklist at this point that you kind of
Mhm.
know as a community what to do, and there really isn't one when it comes to pregnancy and infant loss. So how did that experience change your relationships with the people around you, with your family, your friends, and your extended community?
It changed a lot. So I actually didn't talk to most of my friends after that for different reasons. Like, when I think about it now, I think a lot of it had to do with like my own mental health and just kind of like what I was feeling and the anxieties about like seeing them again and what they were thinking about me. And um, I think what some people don't realize is that like even when you are like the way you perceive things after a loss, after a loss, like grief really does change the way you perceive things. But I think like even when people would say things well meaning, I was like, oh, they're horrible. I hate them. And then I just wouldn't talk to them ever again. So there was that. Like there's a lot of people that even now, you know, almost 14 years later, I'm like seeing people and saying, rekindling friendships, I would say, from a long time ago, and seeing people and realizing that like I think I stopped talking to them when I lost Simeon, and that awkward high, we were always together or like we were close friends. So that was one thing. Um, I think for my family, it was like everyone did all of the right things, like being there for me, feeding me, and all of those things. I think what was hard for me is that most people that were really close to me did all of the right things except talk about him because I think no one knew what to do. And so there was a lot of like, so what do you want to do today? Or what are we going to do now? Or like, you sure you don't want to get up? Or it's Mother's Day. You don't want to be with your mom. Like, and so for a long time, I was like, somebody say you had a baby. It was a boy. He passed away. Do you miss him? And I found myself like having like I took a picture of him when he was born and I had it on my phone screen, and it was like really hard for me because in some cases I hated having to like explain to people like, oh, that's my son, but he passed away. But in the other space, it was like when someone noticed it, it was like, oh, okay, I can talk about him. And so like I think that came from like the people closest to me not really knowing what to say, and they were doing all of the right things. They just didn't know that it was okay to talk, even if I was gonna cry. Um,
Yes. I
I
remember
ha-
somebody saying, like, I'm scared to bring it up because I don't want you to remember. I'm like, there is not a minute that I am not thinking about this.
yeah,
There's no making me remember. Like,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. I would tell people, I'm like, the commercial I watched 5 minutes ago made me cry. I'm gonna cry, so it's fine. I would much rather talk about my son.